We wanted to come out today to show honor. It says, show honor to whom honor is due. And that man is due honor. He has helped this nation advance. He's helped this nation ask questions to each other. And he's helped us get along and do it non-violently. And unfortunately, somebody decided to do something very terrible.
Devastated followers of Charlie Kirk flocked to Turning Point USA's Phoenix headquarters after the news of his assassination in Utah. Vice President J.D. Vance accompanied Kirk's casket and family back to Phoenix on Air Force Two. Funeral services are expected within the coming week. President Donald Trump has said he will attend. A suspect in the assassination, a 22-year-old Utah student, has been arrested. President Trump gave Charlie Kirk a lot of credit for the youth turnout that delivered his victory in 2024. Kirk himself, who is just 31 years old, has been described as the most influential voice in today's Trump-led Republican Party, with a social media presence that reached millions of people. We're going to break down Charlie Kirk's impact and whether it outlives him. Joining us are Democratic consultant Stacey Pearson of Lumen Strategies and Republican Matt Benson of Veritas Consulting. Welcome to you both on this tough day, and it's a really tough conversation we're going to have. I do want to put a timestamp on this conversation. It is Friday, shortly after the arrest of the suspect in this assassination. Charlie Kirk and Turning Point moved from Illinois to Arizona to Phoenix just 6 years ago. And it seems to me Arizona was pretty fertile ground for his message and his organization. What do you think made it that way?
Oh, the Arizona always has been. I mean, you look at some of Arpaio's policies that we see now on a national stage, be it the immigration, round them up, kick them out, lock them up. I mean, Arizona's ideas often move onto the national stage, and I think this is just the state of the state.
And Turning Point already had started here in a small way. Some of the people with the organization today, like Tyler Boyer, were with it back, I think, as far back as 2015. And getting it at their mission, what they did, recruiting youth voters, how successful were they from someone who's worked on campaigns?
Oh, I think it's hard to overstate the influence of Charlie Kirk, especially among folks on the right and young conservatives. This is and really will remain a beloved figure on the right. I mean, his magnetic personality. I mean, his willingness at a time when people too often just sort of are shouting across each other from keyboards and computer screens, he would really take his politics to the most retail level. I mean, think about what he was doing this week on a college campus, on the quad, with a tent and a pair of microphones, and just inviting anyone to engage and discuss any topic they wanted. That's pretty rare and special.
Yeah, and the event was called Prove Me Wrong, and he was taking it to college campuses across the country. What strikes me is we're seeing an outpouring of grief from young people, but also from folks like that gentleman who we heard from right at the top of the show. Charlie Kirk was their hero. How do you explain that kind of cross-generational response?
Well, I think he had a magnetic personality. And I'm not saying he was beloved across all partisan lines. Of course he wasn't. But among conservatives, he was viewed as a fighter and as somebody who would speak unapologetically about what a lot of conservatives believe. And he was young. And I think that's part of it.
31 years old, remarkably young, and in many ways he was a prodigy. Very gifted speaker, very gifted thinker. He knew what he was doing, what he was saying at all times. Charlie Kirk is being praised by people on the right as well as some on the left as a free speech champion, engaging all comers in civil debate largely. He was quite combative. Does that tell the whole story?
It certainly doesn't. I mean, Charlie Kirk, dynamic, magnetic, folks were very interested in what he had to say. Older generations, I think, were attracted to the Archie Bunkerness of it all. You know, I'm going to say what I'm thinking, and isn't that kind of funny? I'm trying to be funny. But the Democrats left that lane wide open. I mean, we made presumptions about young people and the situations that they were in. We made promises to those folks that we didn't deliver on, be it lower college tuition or writing off debt. And they were mad, and they found a voice that was also mad. But we can't, as awful as that image was of a 31-year-old getting carried off a plane in a casket, we cannot forget some of the most aberrant things he said. And that includes calling the Civil Rights Act a mistake, calling it anti-white. I mean, we do need to remember him in totality, and I think he would want us to. He would want to be remembered, not as this, gentle soul going quietly into the night, but as someone who stood his ground on issues that folks disagreed with him very strongly on.
And if you ever watched his podcast, he had a segment called Thought Crimes, borrowed from 1984 by George Orwell, where he said things which he could say were crimes in the minds of some people, like what you just described.
And he shouldn't have died over thinking through that. I mean, make no mistake.
Make that clear.
Yeah,
absolutely.
In no scenario should what happened last week have happened. But there is a totality into what he said, and I think that he should be remembered for that.
And what's interesting right now, given what Charlie Kirk said about thought crimes, is the Trump administration has issued a warning to foreign students, to people in the military and others. If you say something bad about Charlie Kirk, nasty, and we know what those nasty comments have been on social media and even some on air, suggesting you could be deported, punished in some way. That seems counter to Charlie Kirk's free speech legacy, a government sort of cracking down on free speech.
I'm not sure how much of that is going to come to fruition. I mean, we do have a First Amendment for a reason, and so I'm not sure about the ability of the government, even if the president wants to crack down on what people are tweeting and that sort of thing, within guidelines of what the law allows. But I think it speaks to a lot of anger that is out there about what happened, and somebody, and we don't know the motives of the shooter, but somebody who, it almost doesn't matter, somebody who was out there speaking in the public square and was slaughtered in front of their family, and thousands of others.
Yeah, and he does leave behind his wife and two very young children. Speaking to that anger, you work with elected officials, candidates. They have already become accustomed to death threats. Right. Over the last several years. That's kind of become the new normal. Either based on firsthand knowledge or your own just opinions, how do you think this affects candidates, elected officials going forward?
The cesspool that is our social media environment right now has got to change. Lots of politicians this week were talking about we need to tone down the rhetoric and the president can lead on this issue. None of that matters when the tech companies have a financial reward to get people angry and amplified and hostile and engaged. So just looking at my own feed over the course of this week, I wound up in some really scary places, and I made a comment on a radio show that set off the loonies who now want my husband to get shot in the neck. It's just like we've gone to a place that is so far from reality, and it gets explained away as, oh, I'm sure it was just a bot. There are mentally ill folks among us who have access to high-powered rifles that can hit a target 2 football fields away, and that is a recipe for disaster.
I want to move on to Turning Point, its future, maybe too soon. Charlie Kirk was indeed a prodigy. His colleagues acknowledge that. As we head into 2026, how do you think Turning Point will fare? Could there be new leadership? Could it be the same without Charlie Kirk?
Well, it certainly will be different. I expect that organization will do what they've always done, and they will double down, and they will aggressively move forward and mobilize and organize and continue in the legacy that Charlie established. That's what I would expect. But it remains to be seen, because he was such a unique leader, and you don't just replace that. And so that's going to be the challenge they'll have.
And it seems there is a template in place for getting out the vote. They seem to have that pretty down. Are they still a force to contend with?
Absolutely.
For Democrats?
Oh, absolutely. And again, the Democrats, we made promises we didn't keep to Dreamers, to college students, to a variety of other groups. We lost that vote as much as the Republicans picked it up, as much as Charlie Kirk tapped into it. And so it is a force to contend with. And some of those young folks are not seeing the totality of the comments that he made over the years. And so, his martyrdom is entirely in the hands of the tech companies that are going to serve up to young people on TikTok, on X, wherever they're spending their time. They're going to be serving up a very polished version of what he said and did.
All right. Got to end it there. Matt Benson, Stacey Pearson, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.